So I've been meaning to do this for like ever because I keep getting asked and I never do it because I never have time. But I am grateful to God that today, May, today's what, May 20? No, May 19th, I can share with you a few stories, a few tips on how to keep your natural hair. I don't know it all. I don't have the best grade of hair, if I should say, but I love what God has given me. It's a lot of things. It can either curl, it can twist, it can turn, it can do a bunch of things. And I am grateful that I get to share a few tips with you today. So tip number one, I'll get straight into it. The first thing I would say is keep a little spray bottle with water. What I do is I add oil, any type of oil, coconut oil, castor oil, Jamaican castor oil. There are a bunch of oils out there, and you can get one of these. There should be some in a lot of stores, actually Target. There should be some in Primark if you're in the UK. If you're in Ghana, there should be some in Makola. I know all the spots. So yeah, you can get one of these. You can put water into it, just regular water, tap water, and then you can add some oil, and you pretty much just, it's like your thing, you just spray on it. Why'd you do it? Because kinky hair has the problem with retention of moisture. That's one problem. So you want to solve that by, always making sure that your scalp is moist, and you're always making sure that, it's healthy and cool and it's not dry. So tip number one, make sure your scalp is not dry. And tip number two, these are things that I've found that work for me, so I'm just sharing. Shea butter, Inkuto. It's the best thing I have found for this whole natural hair thing. This is 3.5 years, so of course you find people with more hair at 3.5 years, but hey, I'm okay with what I have. I'm still growing it. So Inkuto or shea butter. Inkuto is how we say it in the Ghanaian language, cheese. So Inkuto. Tip number two, what I do is typically, I got this from Ghana, by the way. I needed this, so I had to get it, so I did. But you can get some on Amazon. If you're in Ghana, you can get some from Makola, like all the joints, like seriously, you can get it anywhere. And make sure that some of them, I don't know, I think some of them are too processed back home in Ghana. I'm not sure, but you should definitely ask, like, is this like the legit one? Kind of go, like, look at them in the eyes, say, mommy, patch away a legit, just a legitimate. So I just, okay, I'm sorry. So tip number two, shea butter. Make sure you're taking a good amount of it this way, and then just focus on the scalp. Kind of part the hair into several sections. It can be 3, it can be 4, but just make sure you're literally rubbing it, in between the scalp. You're still trying to pretty much keep your scalp moist. That's the whole point. So that's tip number 2. Okay, so the last tip, a detangler. You just don't use any kind of comb for this hair, sweetheart. It's gonna tear all the way down. You don't want that. So a detangler, you need a detangler to do, especially after you get like braids or extensions, you're taking them out and you want to take care of the hair. This is something that you want to use a wide tooth comb. You want to make sure that the distance between each section is wide enough. Why? Because the hair is so heavy and you don't want to be using a narrow tooth comb that will just keep tearing it. Okay, and some women have softer textures, so they can afford to, use any kind of comb. But if you have kinky hair, if you have curly hair, you want to not use those kind of combs. Okay, you want to use combs that have enough space in between. You should get these Sally's, you should get these Target, you should get these if you're in Ghana, if you're in Africa, I don't know, but I only know of Ghana, Accra. So you can get these on the local market, like everywhere you go, you should get one of these, and it should serve the purpose. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is don't be afraid to trim your hair. I tell people that I didn't even believe it. I learned it from YouTube some time ago, but do not be afraid to trim. What do I mean? After like a blowout, no, not a blowout, after like you braid, you get extensions, you take them out, one thing that you see is a lot of split ends. It's like the hair is ready to shed at the end. that's a sign that you need to get rid of all of that. I don't know the scientific reason behind it, but I literally find that each time that I trim and I get a new extension and I take them out, I find that okay, this is actually working for me. So do not be afraid to let it go. It's like the saying, okay, I don't have the saying, but don't be afraid to let it go, because when you let it go, it comes back to you. So just 4 tips. A spray bottle, we'll go over it quickly. Shea butter or inkuto should do a lot of good for you. And then a white tooth comb to detangle, and scissors. Literally, don't be afraid to trim when you have, after taking out your braids or extensions. These have worked for me over the years. I started this journey 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. 2012 November. I really remember, because that was the morning of my undergrad graduation. I got rid of my hair, all of it. Literally went to the graduation with no hair. But I do not regret it for a second, because now when I look at my hair, I'm like, dang, girl, you should have started like 10 years ago. Then you'd be rocking like a fro this big. But anyway, it's okay. We'll keep working on it. And just keep these tips in mind. You can always ask me questions. I don't know it all. I'll just share what has worked for me, and hopefully it works for you. So that's all I wanted to share. Just a few tips I've always been asked to share, and I've always not shared. Not because I don't want to. No, of course I love you. But because I've just not had enough time to actually sit down and do what I'm doing. But thank God for breaks. So I get to do it right now. I hope this helps. If you know something that has worked for you, or something that you want to share, definitely social media lets us do things like that, exchange knowledge and stuff like that. I'll be more than happy to learn about yours whilst we all build this journey. And yeah, so enjoy your journey. And hey, like I always say, no judgment. If you want weaves, whatever you want, do you, girl. But I love this. It works for me. So I love you. You have a wonderful day. And Jesus loves you more. I always remind you of that, because sometimes I can get a little mean, but Jesus will not be mean to you. Okay, bye.